We're back now with that major developing news right now that could really impact your travel plans. As we told you just a little bit earlier this morning, the FAA planning to cancel flights at some of the nation's largest airports because of the ongoing government shutdown. Your reporter Roger Suzanne joins us now live from Bradley International Airport in Windsor Locks. Roger, good morning. So how is this going to impact us as we head to catch a flight?
Stop. Good morning, Caitlin. Yeah, right now the impact could be pretty serious for travelers around the country, including here at Bradley. Now, the bottom line is Bradley is not on the list of impacted airports, but that doesn't mean that your plans won't be impacted, because starting tomorrow, the FAA will cut thousands of flights at dozens of the busiest airports around the country, which means if you fly out of Connecticut today, like these folks are doing, you could have trouble getting home. So agency leaders say they need to make this change because of an air traffic controller shortage tied to the government shutdown. Controllers are working without pay right now, which has led to an increase in controller sick calls. And CBS is reporting that the FAA is about to take drastic action to limit air traffic at 40 major airports across the country, including basically every big city like New York, Chicago, LA, Philly, Dallas, Boston, Atlanta, DC, and Houston. You get the idea. The agency has ordered airlines to cancel 4% of all flights at those airports tomorrow and then ramp up to 10% starting next week, which means hundreds of thousands of travelers could be impacted, unable to fly to their destinations, and perhaps worse, stranded once they actually arrive. Now, airline executives say at this point they are really scrambling to figure out exactly which flights will be canceled, and they also are advising travelers to back alternate flights in some cases, which is certainly very unsettling. But again, Connecticut's two airports, Bradley, where we are this morning, and Tweed in New Haven, are not on the list of impacted airports, but that does not mean travelers here won't be impacted. Reporting live at Bradley, I'm your reporter Roger Suzanne, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thanks, Raj.